Right now, all these Zooms that we've done.
Soon.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for joining. My name is Sharon Pillar. I'm the executive director and the founder of the Pennsylvania Solar Center. We're very pleased to have you here today to join us. And we are making our rounds around Pennsylvania to lift up the great solar leadership that people are have been for many years, and showing across the state. So today we're going to talk a little bit. I'll tell you a little bit about the Solar Center, of course, since we are a fairly new organization, and talk a little bit about solar, and then we'll get right into the why you're here about the Lodestar Awards today. I did want to acknowledge and welcome Representative Zimmerman. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here. I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to say a couple words or even just to say hello.
Sure. Well, thanks, Sharon. Appreciate it. And it's good to be here. I'm looking forward to, what you guys are all about. And, um, we had a big solar field go in, that effort of Borough did some time ago that we were part of. And, we have the Keystone Group down here along Route 30 in our county. And so, yeah, interested in what's going on. So it's good to be here. Looking forward to it.
Well, great. Well, thank you again for taking the time. It's really important when we have elected officials join us and show support. So it's really wonderful that you're here. Thank you. And I also wanted to recognize Michael Lynch from Representative Stephen Menser's office. And I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the list right now. I believe that Joe Sweeney from Representative Sterla's office was going to be here as well. And Gretchen, am I forgetting anybody?
I think that's it, just those three.
Great, thank you. And I know there are other representatives and state senators who had expressed their interests, but were not able to be here today. So we're going to be sharing that with them as well. And again, this is being recorded. So if you're not talking, we'd appreciate you to keep you on mute if you would. But if you do want something you want to share with us in the chat, in between, we'll be watching that. So feel free to ask questions as we're going through, or have positive comments or anything you want to put on there to applaud the awardees. Feel free to do that as well. So let me just get started. The Pennsylvania Solar Center, as I said, is a nonprofit effort. Excuse me. And we right now have 4 staff people working with us. Gretchen Dugalecki is our communications consultant, who most of you know now, because without Gretchen, this event never would have happened. She's done all of the work to pull this together. So Gretchen, thank you so much for you and your team working on this effort for us.
Of course.
We also have Matt Mahoney, who's our new Director of Government Affairs, and Leo Kowalski, who's our Director of our Get Solar program, and I'll tell you about that in a second. So the mission of the Pennsylvania Solar Center is that Pennsylvania becomes a leader in renewable energy. And Pennsylvania is the energy capital of the country. And we think it makes sense that we're also a leader in solar energy, as well as every other resource as well, that we're well known for here. The first oil well in Pennsylvania was drilled here. Of course, we have a rich heritage of coal and nuclear energy, and our newer natural gas industry as well. So have all been contributing many jobs, and we see that just expanding with the renewable energy industries as well. So our goal is to see that rapid expansion, and of course, solar is what we're focusing on in Pennsylvania, and also that all Pennsylvanians can have access or benefit from solar energy in some shape, or form. We can talk about how that might happen in the future. We have a lot of supporters. Of course, we have foundations that we're very grateful for. We have business supporters as well, and individuals too. We are under the fiscal sponsorship right now of another nonprofit and waiting for our own 501c3 designation, which we're hoping will come through any day now. The way we work and operate is we have sort of a three-legged stool. So the Pennsylvania Solar Center is an unbiased, nonpartisan group that's working to expand solar across the state. We have our technical assistance, which is helping nonprofits and businesses to go solar. And all of you kind of know this because you've gone through it. It's not necessarily an easy process. So we give that assistance to try to help make sense and make it easy. We connect businesses and organizations to qualified developers. Some of those companies are participating today that we're recognizing. So that's for our Get Solar program. And we also have our advocacy network is really policy education that we work with policymakers to talk about what could help the solar industry, educate about different policies. And of course, the constituents that we work with often, of course, want to know about solar energy. And then we have our online resources that we're developing. We have a law firm that's actually creating a guidebook for landowners who wanted to lease their land for larger scale development so that there's a good guidance for them, as well as municipalities who are trying to zone for large scale solar development too. So we expect those out the early and beginning of the year. And of course, we have our Lodestar Award here that we're talking about today. Some of the other things that people can find on our website or a developer directory to find the companies that are NABCEP certification is the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners, which is the gold standard for certification. So if you go on our directory, anybody that you see under there has that certification. It'd be great to reach out to them. They're Pennsylvania companies that we're trying to promote and Pennsylvania jobs. And of course, as the executive director, I have to always ask for donations. So if you feel compelled to help us out, we would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as you saw, we have business memberships as well. So you can talk to us later about that. I wanted to take a little time to step back and look at sort of the state of solar in Pennsylvania, just to give you a little idea. Little background. I mean, a lot of you may know this, and you're all participating in this, which is really exciting. So Pennsylvania has about 4,000, a little more than 4,000 solar jobs. We rank about 18th in the nation on jobs, but 39th in per capita on jobs. We have over 31,000 solar installations in Pennsylvania. Most of those are residential systems, which is a unique thing. Most other states have much larger states and or much larger systems. The reason we have the majority of ours are residential is because some of the state programs earlier that was providing some grant money, and that really jump-started those businesses. But we are seeing more and more businesses and larger installations on companies, municipalities, and even larger utility scale projects, as Representative Zimmerman mentioned. So this is a really fast and growing energy source. In fact, it's the fastest growing energy source in the country, and in the world, it's becoming that way as well. So all new electricity that's coming online, the majority of that is in renewable energy, and a large portion of that is in solar. So this is coming down the pipeline. Lancaster County is the leading solar county right now of solar energy. You really got a good jump start in Lancaster County. I looked today, there are about 77 megawatts of solar energy, and that's on over 2,000 solar systems in the county. So of those 31,000, you've got a large percentage of them when you think about we have 67 counties in Pennsylvania. So Congratulations, Lancaster County. So one of the reasons Pennsylvania has actually, we used to be the 4th leading solar state. That was over 10 years ago. We've dropped to 22nd. And a lot of this is based on policy. So one of the driving policies in Pennsylvania has been the Alternative Energy Portfolio Standard, or what's called the AEPS. This policy was passed in 2004, and it really it was broken into sort of 2 categories, but overall, we're supposed to get 18% of our energy from alternative energy sources. And that's broken into what's tier 1 and tier 2. So tier 1 is 8% of our energy has to come from, largely it's renewable energy. And then tier 2 are alternative resources, such as coal waste. We have a lot of coal waste in Pennsylvania. There's also large scale hydro. There's pumped storage, it's called, in Pennsylvania, and some other resources as well. Obviously for solar, we're really interested in the tier 1, that 8%. Well, that goal was supposed to be met by May of 2021, and it has been met in the whole AEPS. We are on target and did that in May. So this policy has what we call flatlined. It will continue at this rate and won't increase until, of course, our General Assembly would address it. And you can see where our other states are around their renewable energy goals, much more aspirational goals than we do here in Pennsylvania. So it is something we do work on and try to look at the benefits of what solar energy can bring to our state. Of that 8%, 0.5%, 0.5% is targeted to come from solar from inside the state of Pennsylvania. And we have met that goal, and actually we're surpassing that, which is exciting. Our internal goal is that we'd love to see Pennsylvania get to 10% solar by 2030. And here are some of the reasons for that. Because some of the research shows that we can create more than 50,000 jobs by producing that much energy here in Pennsylvania. And that's attracting billions of dollars of private capital investment into our state. So all these projects that you saw here today, that was largely your money and private investment, and the help too of tax advantages, and also the AEPS, those solar credits that we saw. So, but moving at it brings a lot of other investments here. So $300 million in net savings annually when we get to 10% energy. And once we get to 5% energy in solar, we see that benefit everybody across the state, because solar is operating during what we call peak demand time. So typically during the summer, we'll see in the middle of the day, it's super hot and everything's running full force. So we'll see air conditioners on. And during those times, we have to run things called peaker plants. So those are often pretty expensive to run. And that cost of that energy is spread across the whole year to pay for that. So solar actually works at that same time, largely at the same time, which is a huge benefit. So if we get enough solar up to 5%, we start shaving that amount of energy down at that peak demand, and then that lowers the cost really for everybody. And that's a really exciting time point that we're really hoping to get to. Also, we think energy diversity is really important. We're headed right now, if we continue, we're losing coal-fired plants, I think most people know, and being replaced by natural gas. And natural gas is headed to be about 70% of our energy mix by 2030. So we think it's really important. Even renewables are playing a very small part, and even 10% still fairly small, but we do think it has huge advantages when we can diversify our energy mixes and not really rely on just one resource or just limited resources. We also know that people really want renewable energy. This is a study done by the Center for Rural Pennsylvania, and that center is, the Center for Rural Pennsylvania is created by the General Assembly to study issues and attitudes that are happening in rural Pennsylvania, which is largely most of Pennsylvania. I grew up in Tioga County in northern Pennsylvania, and I think most of all of our force staff um, have grown up in different rural areas too in Pennsylvania. So very close and dear to our hearts. Um, but we do know that renewable energy is really an interest across the entire state wherever we're going because of the different opportunities. And a lot of you know about renewable energy credits because you are hoping to, you hope to sell them every year. So that goal that I talked about, that 8% goal, that drives a renewable energy credit. So the utilities buy those credits to show that they're fulfilling their goals of that alternative energy portfolio standard. So if you have solar on your barn or your rooftop, so like Mr. Bondi here, his system, I think was like it was a very small system. It's not quite 5 megawatts, but we'll just say it's 5 kilowatts, sorry. That would earn about 5 or 6 credits every year. And then he could sell those on a market. Those credits used to be, some of you know that, about $300. Those credits now are worth a lot less. So more in the $20 to $35 range. So, but the price of those credits really drive investment into what all of you are showing today. So it is a really important tool. While we're on this slide, I just want to point out sort of the different sectors of solar that we'll be talking about today. So we've got distributed generation, and that's often we'll see rooftop, or in this case of Godshall Meats, as a ground mount system, but that energy is being used on site and is usually connected into the distribution system. So we call that distributed generation. And then we move on to utility scale solar, which is typically tied into the transmission. And then somebody in another place is using that energy or buying that energy. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And there's also, I don't have a slide for, but community solar. Community solar are typically projects that would be in the 2 megawatt, 5 megawatt range. They're a little smaller than utility scale usually, and they would enable people to buy portions of that solar system and then get credited for that energy production on their bill. So this isn't, there's some bills in the General Assembly, but have not passed quite yet. But that community solar would drive a lot of projects, and it also could drive a lot of what we call agrivoltaics, sort of this ability of co-use of agriculture and solar. So, but even beyond that, we think that there's a real opportunity for solar in helping to preserve farmland. So we know Pennsylvania has lost thousands of farms in the last many years, and even just 700 dairy farms in the past couple of years. So this is quite concerning. Largely, American Farm Bureau Federation says that low density residential development and construction is really at fault for losing most kind of gobbling up farmland at a very high rate. So we really feel like solar has a great opportunity to play in that, because it does can add supplemental income to farmers so that they can keep that land, some of it into solar, and keep producing and farm production in other parts of their land. And I think we'll hear a little bit about this, but some landowners are being offered around $1,000 an acre or even more for 20 years for solar. At the end of the lifetime of that equipment's removed, and that solar can go back to farming or whatever use, but it's often then been able to stay in the hands and ownership of that farmer. We also see some of these other benefits of grazing animals, pollinator-friendly plants, or shade-grown crops is really a growing field. And then prime farmland that's currently under farmland preservation cannot go solar. So that's really important. Lancaster County, because there's so much prime farmland, is not a key target for utility scale. Not to say that there aren't a lot of developers looking at it, but there are a lot of other counties in Pennsylvania, I think, that that are not as the farmland is not as high yielding. That's more of a interest, I think, for a lot of the utility scale developers. And I also just want to point out, because this is something that we hear a lot, well, how much land would it take for solar? And if we just looked at going 10% solar and thinking that all of that would be on land, which it wouldn't be, but even if it were, you can see how little tiny amount of land we're talking about when we look at the total amount of the area of land, what all of the ag lands are in Pennsylvania. We have a lot of abandoned mine lands in Pennsylvania as well, which we're trying to encourage solar development there. And then if you can see the amount, it hardly fits on this graph. So it is actually a small amount of land overall to get to this point if we were actually even to build all of that on land. So I just want to get to what we're here for today, is the Lodestar Award. And the reason that we call this Lodestar Award, we chose this name because it used to be, the mariners used to use a lodestar or a star, often the North Star, as for guiding their trips and their travels. And we really see what you're doing as leading the way and leading Pennsylvania into this whole new world of energy and energy production. So we really would like to recognize you for your inspirational leadership here in Pennsylvania. And some of you had gone solar over a decade ago, or a decade now or more. And so you were really early pioneers in all of this and discovering and opening up this whole new world. So today we want to recognize you and thank you for your efforts in doing this, and for you actually, showing this to your customers and other people that you're working with, because that gives them the idea of doing it themselves, and also the courage and inspiration. So thank you so much for accepting this award today, and for hopefully displaying it to show others what you've been doing. So to start out with, we want to just talk a little bit more about how energy and food production are working together for Pennsylvanians. And we have a couple speakers here to talk about what they're doing here in Lancaster County. And first, I want to recognize Larry Hershey from Hirschville Farm. And let's see, Larry, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Can you do that?
Okay.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you, Larry. Thanks for being here. Excited to hear a little bit more. Oops, I'll go back to your slide there. And you could tell us a little bit about your farm. I'm sorry, I can't click the wrong thing again. Go back, and if you could tell us a little bit about your farm first before you talk about your solar, that would be wonderful.
Okay, I'm third generation on this farm. I came here in 1984, and we had a dairy herd at that time. We milked 80 cows in the dairy barn you see, and we have about 100 acres of cropland. And as you can see right now, the picture, there's firewood business in my barnyard. We no longer have cows. I sold the cows 2 years ago. Had nothing to do with the solar though. And we built our solar in 2011, started in 2011. And I got in on the Obama Green Credit tax credits for building this, and the sunshine credits from the state. And had a friend that has a brother in California, and he had built a ground system, and he was telling me that California, they were paying 33 cents a kilowatt hour for their electric, even though we were only paying 6 or 7 here. And I knew that whatever happens in California eventually works its way here. I really did it as a investment and a cost protection from increased energy prices. If you have any questions, it makes it easier for me.
Oh, great, sure. And how has that been working out for you?
Well, when we had the cows, it was covering all of my, not all, a major portion of my electric. My bills would have been $800 to $1,200 a month, depending on the season. We have all electric heat in the house, and so that can be quite costly in the winter. With the silos, the unloaders, the milker system cooling, and all that, like I say, it was over $1,000 a month would probably be a good average. At that time, I was receiving some months I sent back to PP&L, and some months I had to buy some. My system is 84 kW, and I have 440 panels. It's two separate systems, but it's all tied. I'm tied into the grid, and it's all goes through 1 meter underneath the little roof that's on the shed farthest to the bottom of the picture. Since selling the cows, coming up on 2 years, I've make about 6,200 kilowatt hours a month that I send back to PP&L. In the 10 years that I've been running the system, I've made over 1 million kilowatt hours. And
That's impressive.
yeah, well, it's
And
my,
how did you, oh, go ahead.
the reason I went with the roof system, to me, it made sense because it wasn't taking up any production land, any land out of production. So I like the idea of being on the roof. There is disadvantages to that also. If you have a panel goes bad or something goes bad on the roof, it's a lot more difficult to repair. In hindsight, I'd probably do a roof again. If you're out someplace and you don't have a building, I think a ground system is great too.
Well, you definitely were one of the early adopters in Pennsylvania, for sure. So what gave you the idea to do this in 2011?
Like I said, a friend of mine had put a ground system in, and his brother was in California and how expensive theirs was. And I figured I thought it would get higher than it is already. The price, the price has really stayed, I think, relatively low for electric. And but that's why I went with it. And for investment, I think they're talking 30 years on the panels, so we're a third of the way through. Hasn't been quite as financially lucrative as I was hoping, but it's covering my bills.
And is that so? When you bought this in 2011, the renewable energy credits were a lot higher, I think.
Yes,
right?
they were over $200, and I couldn't sign up until I started to produce. And when I started to produce, they went from $200 to about $25 or $30. With my system would produce about 100 kilowatt hours, or 100 rec credits per year. And
It's great.
at $200, it would have made the payments. At $25, it doesn't quite make the payments.
It's a little
So I'm a little
different
disappointed in that respect. Yeah, okay. So unless you have questions, I can.
Well, thank you. I think we'll, there's I just want to check the chat just to make sure. Oh, I'm just going to move on because I think Jay has to jump off here, and he's from Community Energy. So I'm going to let him speak here. If
May
Jay's
have already jumped off.
Oh, okay. I missed that. So, all right. Well, that's too bad. Well, thank you so much, Larry. Appreciate you being here today and joining us. So thank you. And if anybody has any questions for Larry, please put them in the chat. So thanks again for being here.
Well, thank you for the award and for noticing.
Yeah, well, thank you. Next, I want to see, and Jay Carlos from Community Energy had to go, unfortunately. Sorry about that. He's going to be able to be with us. But we do have a video from the Keystone Solar Project. So speaking of early adopters, and we do have Brian Kreider here with us. And Brian, I just want to make sure that I've got you on and be able to speak. What I thought I would do is show the video first, if that's okay. And then if you would like to say a few words, that would be really wonderful. Brian, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. And so the Keystone Solar Project was the first utility scale project in Pennsylvania. And that came together because of the Kreider family farm and Community Energy. And there was a really wonderful video that NBC Philadelphia did with Gerald Kreider, which I think was your father. And we're sorry to know that Mr. Kreider passed away. But we're glad that he was in this video so that we could share that. So let me show you the video about this project.
So this is what 30 or 40 acres of farming for the sun looks like. Pennsylvania has fallen way behind in the race for clean energy. And with agriculture not paying as much as it used to, farmers have taken a completely different tactic. Now, they farm for the sun. I'm standing in the middle of what used to be a cornfield in Lancaster County. The farmer here is a pioneer. He replaces old crops with what you see now, thousands of solar panels. Let's go talk to him and find out why he did it.
Like I said, I farmed for 50 years and been there and done some of that.
Gerald Kreider has spent his entire 75 years on this 90-acre farm. A lifetime working this land has taken its toll.
Yeah, my walking don't do real well anymore.
So when a realtor friend approached him about a new opportunity, Gerald was willing to listen.
No, I just pretty much listened to what he had to say. And it sounded pretty desirable. Had already farmed for like 50 years. We told nobody till it came out in the paper. I figured, no use getting people stirred up. Seemed like people were very open to it. There's no noise, there's no smell.
Gerald doesn't look or sound the part of a tech guy, but that's exactly what he is. His farm is a milestone in Pennsylvania's solar development. Its roots date back nearly a decade, when it was simply a seed of thought in the mind of an energy entrepreneur working to make Pennsylvania a greener state.
I'm Brent Aldifer. I'm founder and CEO of Community Energy. We develop large-scale solar and wind projects across the country.
Aldifer was born and raised in Montgomery County, outside of Philadelphia. While living in Colorado during the 1990s, he first became interested in clean energy. Now back home, he believes Pennsylvania farmers can preserve their prized farmland while changing the state's energy dependence at the same time.
This farm could have very easily been lost. By putting up solar, which might at first look like development, what we're able to do is preserve the farmland. If you can see, these solar modules are mounted on steel posts, much like fence posts. And at the end of their life, which is 25 or 30 years, this can be pulled off. And what you have, because we've had grass, you have improved farmland, guaranteed return to the landowner after 25 years. The dollars per acre that we pay to the farmer each year is usually 3 to 4 times what the farmer was making under previous farmland use.
Right now, Community Energy is building a 70-megawatt farm near Gettysburg, 10 times larger than Keystone.
The city of Philadelphia agreed to purchase electricity from the new farm to power almost a quarter of municipal buildings, like City Hall, libraries, and rec centers.
How does that whole process work?
We all get our electricity from the same transmission grid. You may be getting electricity from a Limerick nuclear plant or a coal plant up north of Allentown or even further out in the western part of the state. That's all fed into the same grid. So right now, we're getting our electricity from multiple sources around the state. So once you propose to build a big solar farm to feed into that grid, the only question is, who's going to buy the power?
Linking a buyer like the city of Philadelphia with farmland in Gettysburg is perhaps the toughest job for Aldifer and other solar entrepreneurs.
It's these connections that need to be made to completely reshape the state's energy economy.
Take a look at how far behind Pennsylvania actually is in solar energy production. The state has just 433 total megawatts of solar power. Yet right next door, New Jersey puts out nearly 7 times as much solar power. California is by far the largest generator of solar power, with single installations that each produce more than all of Pennsylvania.
The fastest thing we can do in Pennsylvania to really boost solar, which includes solar jobs, as well as solar economics and taxes, is to get the policy right.
That policy incentivized solar growth to kickstart more projects like Gerald's Farm.
Can you tell me what they pay you?
We never discussed that. It's okay. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, it's much more than you would make off of corn or beans or.
What would you tell other farmers that thought, is this a good idea?
Well, yeah, if they go for it. Sort of have to go with the flow, and technology is in the flow.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes.
Every day it's something to do.
Oh, we really appreciate that video was done. Thanks, Brian, for being here.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words about
Yeah,
the project? And
I appreciate the acknowledgement for the Lodestar Award. I really am thankful for that. It was good seeing my father again. It's been 1.5 years.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
The biggest thing is when they approached us, I'm an only child and grew up farming. My father worked very hard his whole life for that. It was very attractive to us as far as for me being able to, as a small family, I have no children of my own, to be able to keep the farm and continue to do what was set out, for my future and my family's future. It was very lucrative and allowed us to keep the farm and, keep it in the family.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, and we've heard that from a number of farms, and some people, a lot of farmers too, continue farming other portions of their property and doing this.
Well, we have it's 100 acres total.
Yeah, yeah.
35 of it, 35 to 38, I believe, is in the solar. And I do have an option contract already signed for another 42 acres that are beside that. So some of it is still being farmed, but it would be nice if it were all solar.
Well, we appreciate what your family did and your father, and being really that pioneer here to show this example. So thank you so very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen again. And then we just want to recognize some of our other, what we call agrivoltaics category, and blending farms and solar together too. In addition to Hirschfeld Farms and the Kreider family farm, we want to recognize Cherry Hill Orchards. And Cherry Hill Orchards, we have a little video from them, and I believe that we have I'm sorry, somebody's here from Cherry Hill Orchards, right? Oh, do we need to make him a speaker?
I think I just heard him.
Nope,
Oh,
you don't
sorry.
need to make me a speaker. But
There you are. Craig,
I,
is that you?
yeah, I spoke on the video, but I appreciate, thank you for the Lodestar Award, and we'll display that proudly.
It's a beautiful system. And it's a great video. Thank you for sending it in.
Yep.
I'll play it now.
In the fall of 2011 at Cherry Hill Orchards, we added 750 American-made solar panels at 2 of our facilities. They were installed by a local
Oh, I'm sorry, that was my fault.
Lancaster County company, and we are now able to produce over 230,000 kilowatt hours of power a year. That is enough to power 20 average homes and covers the electrical needs of our operation, while also adding some additional clean energy back into the electrical grid system.
It's great. And I believe Dylan Katz from KC Green and US Solar Development is recognizing him today too.
In the
Sorry.
In the
Trying
fall of
to advance
2011,
my slide there. It's having a hard time. Every time I click on it, it was just playing the video again.
Cherry Hill Orchards, we added
I'm sorry.
Out and then
What's that?
like hit escape and then go to the next one. I'm not sure how you.
Oops, I guess I stopped sharing again. Okay. There we go. One of these days we'll be doing these in person, which I think will be a lot more fun, right?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Well, we also want to recognize, and I just want to make sure I got it. Oh, I
In the-
did it again. Oh, all right. Cherry Crest Adventure Farm, which I really want to come here because it looks so much fun. You can see their solar system, Paradise Energy, installed here on their hilltop or hillside. I guess they have this amazing corn maze, which looks really fun, and a lot of other activities there. But it's great that that they went solar. And Gretchen, do we have anyone here from Cherry Crest Farm today?
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
I think, yeah.
I think that's
So
it.
thank you for them. And also Shady Maple, their store has an enormous array, which you can sort of see here. We didn't have a great picture of it, but if you look at their rooftop here in their market, is just covered with solar panels. And so that's pretty exciting. And unfortunately, they weren't able to make it here either today, but we congratulate them as well. Roar Seeds. So all of these, of course, are categories with some intersection with farming. And again, they unfortunately weren't able to be here today, but I wanted to show you a system in the back in their, I think it's their warehouse, but in their stores up front. But again, a lot of times you can't see solar that's on the rooftop. So we encourage people to put pictures in their stores if they have them, or so that people can actually see what's up there on that rooftop. But that's pretty exciting. And I'm going to turn it over to Gretchen. Gretchen's going to talk about our business leaders, which we have a number of. So take it away, Gretchen.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and congratulations to all of our farmer winners. We're so thrilled to have you here tonight. So I'm Gretchen. I've spoken and emailed back and forth with a lot of you on the call this evening, and it's good to see some of your faces and put your faces to your names. So I'm going to give the business awards. More and more businesses across the state and across the country have been going solar. I think they've been realizing that it not only helps save the environment, but it also saves a lot of money, which lets them hire more workers, further build out their operations, and just grow as a business. So, and it's been interesting because this is our third Lodestar Awards this year, and as we've been sort of wending our way through the state, We've noticed that in each region, there's like one or two industries that have really kind of taken a hold of solar and really leveraged it to help them grow. And in Lancaster, it seems that a lot of automotive businesses have been taking advantage of solar. In fact, 5 of our 7 businesses this evening are somehow connected to the automotive industry. Beginning with our first one, Lancaster Travel Plaza, which I believe is the premier truck stop in Lancaster County. We have Anil Giovanni with us this evening. Anil, I know I saw you. Are you still on the call? You might be muted.
Yes, I'm on the call. Yes.
Hi, great. Well, thank you for joining us. Did you want to talk us through your slides? Just feel free to tell us if you want us to go forward or move back.
Yes. Thank you for Lodestar Award. We are really proud of my son, who has really discovered early on when we were wondering how we can install the solar panels, and we had reviewed the local market and tried to find out how can we find a contractor who can install on multiple properties. So we went around and we found Cassie Green, who was very competitive and friendly local contractor, and took care of almost 6-7 of our properties and the rooftops. So we are glad that that project was done in 2013. Altogether, we had close to 300 kilowatt. This travel plaza has close to 210 kilowatts because it had some farmland that we couldn't use because of the zoning restriction on can't use and can't farm. So that was a good opportunity for us to have us partially use the land and use the rooftop. So altogether we could fit about 210 kilowatt. That was pretty good. And all the other roof are not big, but it has 30-40 kilowatts, and it adds up when we cover up all the rooftops. But it has really done good for us. I know a lot of others are feeling same way, that it's not as lucrative as other state, but I think with the help of everyone, we can get there.
Great. Maybe should we go to the next slide, or?
Yes, you can go there. Yeah. I mean, this is our other location. That location has a small system. I think it could produce with the angle that it got the maximum advantage we had. We covered up all the canopies also. So all the fuel canopies are also covered. And that gives us maximum advantage of fitting as many as panel possible. So we got like 30 kilowatt on each gas station canopies. And then it adds up and helps us out with the electric bill, with the utility bills of that location.
Great.
And I know you had a number of other projects that we don't have all the pictures in here. So there, you said 8 different sites, I think you said, right?
Wow.
Yeah, 7 locations. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Anil. Congratulations. If no one has any questions for Anil, I guess we'll just keep moving. All right, so we had several other businesses that couldn't attend this evening for one reason or another, but we'll show you some photos of their arrays. This is GT Discount Auto Parts. They went solar in 2010 with the help of Advanced Solar Industries, and their system is about 51 kilowatts. And H&F Tire Service, again, keeping with the automotive trend in Lancaster with them going solar. H&F went solar in 2012, and their system is 50 kilowatts. Slaymaker Group. They went solar in 2011 and with the help of Sunlion Energy Systems, and their system is about 230 kilowatts. And then we have Universal Athletic Club, who won solar in 2011, and their system is about 300 kilowatts. And Prospect Self-Storage, which won solar in 2010 with the help of KC Green Energies, which I think is now US Solar Development. And their system is 210 kilowatts. Okay, and then we have the Cope Company Salt, and they did a video for us. So the Cope Company Salt is actually the largest distributor of salt products in the tri-state area, including ice melt, solar salt, and food salt products. They went solar in 2018 with a 46 kilowatt system. We're going to show the video, but Ron Meyer, the company's president, is here with us tonight. So I'm not sure if Ron, if you want to give us a wave or maybe say a couple words after we show the video. So let me get I'm going to share my screen now. We're going to this one. Can you guys see this, the Coke Company Salt video?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The Cope Company Salt has always taken pride in the value it places on making the environment a priority. The Cope Company's auto brine system is a bagless salt brine delivery system, which has helped our customers eliminate 10 million bags of waste from ever reaching a landfill. Paradise Energy did a fantastic job when installing a solar panel roof at our Cope facility. They were able to accommodate our specific needs, including our rounded roof, with ease. The Cope Company and its employees are thrilled to receive this honor from the PA Solar Center.
Great. Thank you, Ron. Congratulations. Ron, did you want to say a few words or anything? You don't have to.
I appreciate the opportunity. And again, we had a unique situation. You don't see solar on rounded roofs too often. So we do have the ability, when anybody does come in our facility, you can see the roof because of the slant, and that's the first thing you see when you come in. So it's a good promotion of solar for all of the customers that do come into our facility, and Paradise Energy did a great job of being able to work around that. We had to have special attachments and special setups for that to accommodate that type of roof, and they took it all done, did it all for us, took care of all of our permits and everything for us. So it was a real seamless, painless process for us, and we've been happy with the results.
That's really great. Oh my gosh, congratulations. All right, Sharon, I'm turning it back over to you.
Great, thanks, Gretchen. Thanks to all of the businesses who are showing solar, who have accepted the award. And we also, of course, want to recognize the people who are doing the work, who are actually getting that solar up there installed and generating energy, because without them, obviously, none of you would have your systems. So we like to promote Pennsylvania businesses to show all of the good work that they're doing. So no certain order here, but the first company that we're recognizing is Belmont Solar. And I believe that Ben Zook is here. And Ben, we have your video. Would you like to say a few words? And if you do, before or after your video?
Thank you for the recognition. It's been, it's been quite a journey since 2002 for sure. Most people did not know what the word solar meant until about 2009. But it is a team effort. It's not just one person alone. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ben. And thanks for your video.
Hello, it's Ben with Belmont Solar. Today, let's look a little bit into the history of solar power, especially here in the northeastern states. So in 2002, I found out what solar power could really do. Back then, most people did not know what the word solar meant. Unfortunately, today it's sometimes associated with cold calling or high sales pitches, but I took it as an approach from performance, education, and neatness. Performance means that the systems work so well that people love telling others about it, and that's what has led to our referrals and ongoing work. Education is about giving people a good idea what to expect, what's realistic, and what can be done with their needs. And neatness, well, that should just be a and especially if you care about good workmanship and would only do the kind of work you would do at your own house. So this has turned into a major team effort. Today we provide power out of thin air, anything from powering an entire house to providing power for an off-grid location, such as a remote cabin. It's led to some interesting stories, interesting journeys, and interesting technological setups. Into the future, there's going to be even more innovation, even more people that are just blown away and surprised what can be done. And we are providing that here in southeastern Pennsylvania, showing what's possible. And into the future, we're going to do a lot more of that. And thanks for everyone that has made this possible. It's been a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Ben, and to Belmont Solar. Will, sorry, he seems to
Didn't
be.
during my dress rehearsal.
I know. Let me just try to. There we go. Great. Unfortunately, Ritu Engineering could not be here. Ritu is an engineering firm, and we're seeing a lot of engineering firms getting into the solar business because they're working with developers on a wide range of different areas. So we even see a lot of companies that are doing energy work in oil and gas and other energy, but they're showing that some of those skills are transferring into the solar energy as well. So surveying of land or geotechnical analysis, a lot of those type of things, environmental engineering, civic engineering type of skills that they bring are being called upon to work with developers for solar as well. So we recognize Ritu Energy. They also built the Masonic Village 2 megawatt property project in Lancaster County, and they're with 4,300, or sorry, almost 6,000 panels. They have another 4,300 panels on another a site about 5 acres, and they built this with solar renewable energy as the developer. So we recognize them today as well. Next, we want to recognize MVE Group for their work, and I think Don Bradley is here. And hi, Don. How are you? Whoops, you're on mute. So I'm gonna.
Doing really well,
There you are.
Sharon, and
There you are. Hi.
fabulous job by yourself and Gretchen. Thank you, all the interaction, Gretchen, leading up to this. But we are absolutely thrilled to be awarded the Lodestar Award. It does mean a lot to us. We do try to be innovative, and we try to build a quality product with a lot of integrity behind it. And it's just very much appreciative to be part of this effort, and wish the Solar Center well in your mission, because you make our job easier by helping with the policies within the state. But thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Gretchen. And yeah, we did put together a video, and hopefully it'll share with you some of the diversity that we offer and the kinds of projects and the innovation that we try to bring to the industry.
Thank you, Don. And I know you've been in this industry for many years, so appreciate you are as a pioneer in this industry as well.
Thank you.
MVE Group is honored to be a recipient of the Pennsylvania Solar Center's Lodestar Award. MVE Group partnered with high companies to create the first 100% solar-powered Marriott hotel in the United States. By installing a 1.2 megawatt system on the neighboring industrial building's roof, 3 acres of land was preserved. This system offsets 100% of the Marriott Hotel's energy demand. Farmers are taking advantage of installing solar on agriculture land to provide an additional source of revenue for their farm. This alternative revenue stream can offset operating expenses of the farm and provide economic resiliency in poor growing years. Installing solar will also provide a recovery period, increasing the value of that land for agriculture in the future. Associated Builders and Contractors, Keystone Chapter, partnered with MVE Group to install solar on their building. When the building was originally constructed, it was designed with intentions of using solar energy in the future. This system offsets nearly 65% of their energy demand. MVE Group partnered with Penn State University to build and maintain a 2 megawatt solar farm. The solar farm was constructed on 10 acres of unusable hillside, just below the Mount Nittany Medical Center. This project allows the university to study the benefits of agrivoltaics and sheep grazing to control vegetation under and around solar arrays. Sheep physically fit under the solar panels and can graze all parts of the land area. Millions of flower seeds were planted around and under 10 acres of solar panels on Orchard Road. The wildflower varieties are highly attractive to pollinators such as native bees, honeybees, and butterflies, all of which play a vital role in supporting food and flowering plants.
That's great, Don. Thanks so much. And I know some people might be interested in that floating solar too. It's something that we haven't seen a lot of, but I think it's becoming more.
MVE Group is honored to be a
Yeah, that is again proving to be a little on the innovative side. It was at the time the largest floating solar project in the United States when it was first developed, 5.4 megawatts, I think, at the time. So yeah, we try to be as innovative and find good uses for solar and among many different industries. So again, Sharon, thank you for the recognition. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Don. And everybody always loves to see the sheep around the solar, so that's always fun too. Next up, I wanted to recognize Dylan Katz with U.S. Solar Development and KC Green Energy. You've heard a little bit about them, and I just have to check to see if Dylan is here. He was going to try to make it, but I know he was en route, so we may not actually have him.
I think he is here under.
Oh, maybe the attendees. Oh, yeah, there he is. Here, wait a second, Dylan. Hold on, and I'm going to promote you to a panelist so that you can speak. There, Dylan, can you hear or can you talk now?
Is he muted? You might be muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're muted.
There.
How about now?
Yep, now I can hear you. Thank
All right.
you. Thanks for being here, Dylan. And I know you're traveling, so we appreciate the effort to be here with us. Thank you.
Yeah, I had to listen to a little bit in the truck, but great presentations. Thanks again for the award and for everything you do for policy in Pennsylvania. It's a pretty difficult job, and it's nice to have you spearheading that and as a constant force over the past 10 years, really. So I've been in this since 2009, started KC Green Energy under my father's general contracting business. And then in 2018, I started an additional company, U.S. Solar Development, really to concentrate more on commercial and also work with other developers on larger projects in multiple states, so all across the Mid-Atlantic, and still serve as Casey Green Energy's commercial operations director, so manage all those projects as well. Good to see some customers on here, Cherry Hill, Universal, and Lancaster Travel Plaza. That was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting to see that. Didn't have time to prepare a video, but I will say, you know, the Pennsylvania contractors, I feel like we're all in this together because it's been a very difficult market in Pennsylvania, and we certainly have never been spoiled like some of the other states. But I think that has made all of us much better for it. And if Pennsylvania ever does take off, we have some of the best local contractors, the most competitive prices, really across the United States, because we've been forced to be efficient instead of be great sales companies. So yeah, just that little piece. Congratulations to all the other winners.
Thank you so much, Dylan. And next up, we have, and our last awardee is Paradise Energy. And and Charles is here, I think, to talk from Paradise. Is that right?
That's correct, Sharon.
Hi, Charles. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing
There
great.
you are. Now I can see. I moved the camera so I can see you. Do you want to just to show your video first, or would you like to say a few words first?
I can say a few words first, and then you can show the video. So
Share.
I'm honored on behalf of Paradise to receive the Lodestar Award. Thank you so much for honoring us in this way. I really liked what Dylan said. You know, the solar industry in Pennsylvania has not been spoiled with some of the incentives that we see in other states, but you know, it is a state where solar does make sense for businesses. And you know, the Cope Salt project we did and all the other projects that you guys mentioned, you know, those customers are now receiving the benefits without having, you know, they don't have an electric bill, and so they can be more profitable, and in turn they can benefit their communities and their customers by having more competitive pricing. And so, you know, solar is really a great way, save money, benefit the environment. It has so many benefits to it. It's not just one thing. And so thank you so much, Sharon, and thanks, Gretchen, for your work in putting this together.
Thanks, Charles. We appreciate you being here. And I know that you guys have been around. Paradise has been around for a very long time too. And I do think I echo what I'm hearing too, with working with a lot of companies over the years, and the camaraderie and collaboration that you all work very, very hard to do what you're doing, and appreciate how long you've been at it and your stick-to-itness. So let me play your video. Thank you for sending that in. And hold on a second and we'll get to that.
Why solar? That's a good question. Probably the reason we got into solar, it was a business opportunity, but it was new and intriguing.
The business was organized January 1st of 2009, and we scheduled some online courses and learned about what is solar and how does it work and how do we install it, things like that.
First system was for our dad. We convinced him to go solar. We owe a lot to him, actually, because he was kind of our guinea pig. And I remember getting off the roof, going into the house, and pulling out the instruction manual that came with the product, and just trying to figure it out from there.
So my brother lives on the home farm where we grew up, and he has poultry houses there. And that was our first agricultural system. We installed a solar array on the roof of the chicken house. And that was kind of a turning point, I think, because now we had done a system. We could demonstrate, look, we know how to work with the utilities, we know how to design these systems.
Looking back, I can see the hand of God in this whole situation, where it's more than just us making good decisions. It's God working things out, knowing what's in our future. So as I think about Paradise Energy going forward, I think first of all about the culture and the difference that we're making in the lives of the people who work here. Having a place to work that is a good place to work, where you do enjoy the people. That's a big thing, and I know that that spreads on beyond the business. And the rewarding things for me is when I see people's lives change, because that's lasting. That's not just money in the bank, but that's lasting.
Paradise Energy Solutions, I believe, is positioned very well to capture emerging markets. You know, I think of things like, again, the energy storage. I think of the operation and maintenance for solar arrays, large solar arrays that other companies have built. And I think Paradise Energy's brightest days are yet ahead of us.
That's wonderful. I think that too. And I think it's just a remarkable statement about people working in this. There are so many people now coming into this profession, and it is a good paying jobs that are available in this industry, and it is very fast growing, rapidly growing, and we hope that Pennsylvania can be just as rapidly growing as many of our neighboring states. So we thank you all for making that happen in Pennsylvania, whether you're buying it or building it, and any role that you have across this whole industry. It's very exciting, this new day of new energy resources that are coming, and you all are those foundation builders for everybody else to come after you. So thank you for accepting this award, and thank you for taking your time today. And we'll be pleased to show your videos and to promote this event. We'll put up on our social media and share it with many others yet to come. So thanks for sharing this little time with us today. And please reach out if there's anything that we can help you with, or even your customers in the solar field. So, and again, I just wanted to give another shout out to Representative Zimmerman for spending the time here with us today. Really applaud him for doing that and being here. So thank you so much, and take care and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
I also want another big shout out to Gretchen too. Thank you again, Gretchen.
Thank you.
Here, here.
My pleasure to meet everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Of course, thank you, Larry. I appreciate you pulling this together.
Thank you, Gretchen. And
Oh,
Bye.
you know.
All right.